Joining me today, I have fellow CHVN employee and on-air Judson Rempel, who is now the Director of Community Relations and Marketing with Winnipeg Mennonite School. Judson, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you guys have a milestone that you guys are recognizing. Tell us a little bit about this milestone for Mennonites this year.
Yeah, it's an exciting milestone for all Mennonites, not just our school, but as a school, we wanted to celebrate it as well. So there's two different things going on. The first one is that it's been 150 years since the first Mennonites landed here in Manitoba. And they landed down at the Rat River and the Red River, and then headed out from there. And so we're recognizing that milestone and what's happened since then with Mennonites. The other one is it's been 500 years since the unofficial Anabaptist movement began. Anabaptists eventually becoming known as Mennonites after the leader Menno Simons. So these are two huge milestones for the entire community. And as a school that maintains our Mennonite heritage as a vital part of who we are, the Mennonite values as a vital part of how we teach, we thought it would be really important to recognize both of these events. And so we've planned a whole pile of things for the next school year. And we're just really excited to share them, not just with our school, but with everyone.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about those events a little bit coming up. If you don't mind, I would like to talk a little bit about history in this. So you were talking about how they landed there. I live right near where the Mennonites landed here in Manitoba. My surname is Clausen. I've got Penner. I've got Zuderman. You're Rempel, obviously. Do you have a lot of knowledge of your own Mennonite history? Because mine's a little fuzzy, I got to be honest.
Well, and that's part of the thing with Mennonites is we do sometimes have a fuzzy history because we fled so many times and moved to so many different places. It can get really lost in there. There's some really good resources. I was able to find one that I was able to track basically every part of my family back. And the bulk of my family did not arrive at the beginning. They arrived in about the 1920s or so. However, on my Warkentine Hebert side, my grandma's side, they actually arrived on one of the first boats. So I don't believe they were the first boat, but they were like within 7 days of the very first boat landing back 150 years ago. So it was really cool to kind of follow their journey of when they landed, where they kind of went from that point, and then now where they live today. I was able to kind of piece together, this is how all of this must have happened. And then I was able to share that with my grandma, who didn't even know that history because of how long ago it was. Again, 150 years. This is her grandparents' landing, basically. It's cool to see that history and to be able to relive that history, just so that we know what our grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents went through. It makes us more empathetic to what a lot of people are going through today in terms of they had to flee. They had to arrive in a country where they knew no one and knew nothing, and then just working hard to get where we are 150 years later.
And that is, I think, one of the staples that I've seen that comes in association with Mennonite is hardworking. Mm-hmm. From the little, again, that I know. But I would love to ask, I hope this is all right with you. When people ask me, what does it mean being a Mennonite? My goodness, I'm not exactly sure how to say that. So, you've got Winnipeg Mennonite School. You come from a Mennonite background. What would you say to that?
I mean, there's two slightly different answers there because what we talk about in our school is we're not talking about the baptism part. The main part of Anabaptism is rebaptism. So being baptized as an adult when you can actually make that decision. That's a huge cornerstone for Mennonites, which does not, we're not baptizing kids in the school, right? So that's not usually something we specifically talk about there. What we do talk about there, we have three core values that we always try to instill into all of our kids. And that is discipleship, so serving one another, stewardship, taking care of what you have. And then maybe the most important part and what distinguishes most Mennonites is the peacemaking. And we believe that we are called to be peacemakers in everything that we do. And so when we teach our kids that, we're not just talking about, grand, massive things of peace, but also peacemaking between two friends who are having an argument, or peacemaking between you and someone in the community, even if you didn't wrong them, just creating peace there and doing stuff like that. So that's really the core of being Mennonite. Apart from that rebaptism part, which again is where Anabaptist comes from, the Mennonite part, really pushed by Menno Simons as well, was peace and non-resistant. Like, don't fight back, don't hurt others, and that's also why they fled, because they were, instead of fighting and trying to kill for their land, they said we can't stay here because we don't want to hurt anyone. We want to make peace, so we got to go elsewhere.
Turn the other cheek.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, wonderful. You were talking about ways that you guys are recognizing this milestone. I would love to hear maybe some of these events that you guys are hosting.
We have so many things that are going on. One of the first thing that's most exciting for us is we are going to be taking our grades 6 to 8 kids on the Peace Trail. A lot of people don't know what this is because it's only like 2 years since it kind of got started up, but a committee in southern Manitoba puts together the Peace Trail. It starts where the Mennonites landed, and it follows along the path of the first Mennonites through southeast Manitoba. It talks about kind of what the landscape looked like, the area's history, where all these things kind of came from. And we're going to be able to take our kids to some of the important places. I wish we could stop at every place. We can't. But we're going to be able to take them through there. So we're going to have a lot of kids who are Mennonites who will be able to take this from their background, but then a lot of other kids who get to learn the history of the area, because we're going to be able to talk about why this area was even fertile in the first place. Like, why was it a good area to come to? We're going to be able to talk about the first towns forming in that area and what it looked like for immigrants 150 years ago when they arrived, which what it looked like is they showed up to 4 sheds that they lived in for a few years that were leaking and kind of falling apart. And then we also, and this is exciting for our campuses as well, is we're going to be able to explore the relationship between the Mennonites and the Métis people of the area. The Métis were the ones who helped bring all their stuff from the boats to the sheds. They helped build the sheds, and they have land within the quote-unquote Mennonite reserve that was given to Mennonites to use. There's land within there that is Métis owned as well. And so we'll be able to have an opportunity to talk about that.
I'm learning so much right now. Thank you for this. I think I need to do a deep dive. It's important.
There's so much you can learn about that. And I only started kind of looking into more of this more recently as I'm getting older and going, I should really appreciate, what my grandparents did, what my parents had to go through, kind of thing. And it is incredible how much you don't realize happened to get us to where we are today.
Absolutely. One of my major thoughts often is some of those first winters here, and I have to assume some of them went, where did we come to? Why are we here? This is so cold. But anyway.
Well, and I mean, there was a whole group that left for Mexico after they arrived here. So maybe they were the ones who went, oh, you know what?
Too cold.
It's too cold here. Let's go elsewhere. Actually, my wife's family went to Mexico and then came back. So I'm not sure what all happened there. But it's arriving here in that cold. You got to think a lot of people would have came here, and without the conveniences of modern technology that we have today, would have given up and would have left or would have done something else. And it's a commitment to how hardworking Mennonites have always been, that we hunkered down and just said, the farmland is so good, we'll deal with this cold and these blizzards and whatever else is going on there, because we have the space now to do what we want to do, the freedom to be who we want to be. And we're going to work hard to make that happen. And I mean, look out in the fields today. There are people out there, a lot of Mennonite farmers out there that are working 18 hours a day trying to harvest, trying to get things done. And they're not complaining about it. They're just doing it because that's what they do. And it's inspiring to see that.
I absolutely agree. Like I said, one of those words I think immediately with Mennonite is hardworking. So Thank you so much, Judson, for coming today. Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I mean, we got a whole bunch of other things that we're doing as well. And we're going to be able to share these. And again, these are things that we really want to share with our community as well. So we are going to erect a peace pole at each of our campuses. So if you don't know what a peace pole is, You can find them kind of all. There's actually, what did it say, 25,000 across the world. But basically, it's a post that has to say the words, "May peace prevail on earth." That's the main thing that makes it a peace pole. And then it's in a bunch of different languages. And so we're going to erect it at each campus. We're going to have English, French, and German as kind of our three of those languages. And then each campus is going to be able to pick the remaining 5 languages to reflect the area that they're in and the students that they have. So very likely in our Bedson campus, we will have like an Indigenous languages of some kind there. And then at our Catherine Friesen campus, we're likely going to have Mandarin or Cantonese or something, because we do have a large Asian population there as well. And we want this to be a community thing. We're also planting a tree that came from Khortytsa, one of the colonies back in the Ukraine, and we're going to be able to plant that at each campus. And again, it's part of our heritage, but part of the stewardship thing that we talk about. And then we're building benches around it, so it's a community place to sit and talk and be with each other. We even thought about, we'll just put it around a tree like they normally do, but someone pointed out, but then everyone's back to back. So we're going to flip the benches around so you're all facing each other. Again, it's all part of this community thing. We truly believe in community. Mennonites believe in community. As a school, we want to keep that going as well. And then we're also going to put up a heritage wall yet too. And that's going to reflect not just Mennonite history, because we are an elementary school, right? So we're not just going to throw up all this stuff about Mennonite history because that's too much, but we are going to focus on families and education. And this is also something I learned fairly recently, but education is actually a very important part of Mennonite faith. The reason for that being that when the Mennonites study the Bible, they are supposed to do it together, but you can't read if you haven't been given the education. And so there was actually a very important component of this education that you can't participate in the community if you haven't learned. And that was something I actually was very surprised to hear, because there are, a lot of Mennonites today that don't have that kind of commitment to education, not quite the same way. But to kind of go back and go, oh, this was always an important part. It kind of reinforced our position as a school as well. We're doing exactly what we should be doing, which is teaching these kids and bringing them along, teaching them these values, and then they will be able to contribute as they get older, and they will be able to engage in these conversations as well, and not just leave it to us, right? We're bringing up the next generation. We want them to be able to do this as well. And that heritage wall is going to reflect what has happened, what is happening, and maybe what we hope happens. Maybe that will be part of it as well. But we're just putting that all together. And again, these are all things we're going to share with everybody. This is not you got to pay to come to school and that's when you get to enjoy it. This is going to be a community. We want our Mennonite churches to be a part of this. We want other Mennonite high schools to be a part of this. So we're really excited about this school year, these awesome milestones we get to celebrate as Mennonites, but even not as Mennonites, because of how important that was to just the history of Manitoba in general. It's going to be awesome.
If people want to find out more about any of this, can they do that, and how so?
Absolutely. We'll try to keep the website as updated as possible with these stories, with things that are happening. So you can go to mennoniteschool.ca and check it out there. And if you are more interested in this school as well, there's also spots left too. And we'd love to have you come down, check out the school, take a look. Even if you are not sure that this is the right direction for you, we would still love to show you around and show you what makes us and why we're doing what we're doing now. This isn't just a random, let's do this really quick because we need to. This is years of the school doing a certain thing, running with certain values, and then this year us going, okay, this is the perfect opportunity to capitalize on that and really invest into that. So it's mennoniteschool.ca to learn all about what we're doing and to check us out.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Judson, for taking the time today to talk about this.
And thanks for having me back. It's great to be in this room again.